Welcome to Darkbound Tales, where blood whispers, moonlight betrays, and creatures of the night fall into forbidden desire. The night was bleeding. Clouds moved like torn veils across the sky, revealing a swollen red moon that stared down on the world with no mercy. The trees in the valley of Eldrath stood still, as if holding their breath. Even the wind dared not whisper. In the heart of that cursed land stood the Onyx Keep, a fortress of cold stone and darker sins. Its spires clawed at the heavens, draped in shadows and screams. Beneath it, far below the throne of blood, the forgotten catacombs stretched like a web of sorrow. There, in a room with no light, she waited. Valeria. Her name had once meant nothing. Now it was a whisper the guards feared to speak. They thought her broken, a slave bred for silence, fed only enough to survive. But she was awake, and she was listening. Her wrists were wrapped in silver shackles, thin and biting, forged by priests who had long since died. Every movement burned. Her once pale skin was marked with the red of dried blood and ancient punishments. But her eyes still glowed, like moonlight on black water, quiet, cold, endless. Then came the howl. Not a cry of pain, not a song of sorrow. A roar, raw, deep, and ancient. It echoed through the bones of the keep, shaking dust from the ceiling and fear from the hearts of those above. Valeria's head turned, slowly. Outside, chaos erupted, screams, iron on flesh, spells misfiring in panic. She closed her eyes and breathed in the scent of the hunt. Something primal had entered the keep, something not born of fang or blood. It crashed into the catacombs like a storm made flesh, heavy footsteps, snarls, the rending of metal and bone, and then silence. He stood at the entrance to her prison, chest rising like thunder, golden eyes glowing from within a face torn between man and beast. His breath steamed in the cold, and his claws dripped with blood not his own. A werewolf. He should have killed her. His kind were born to hate vampires, just as hers were taught to enslave wolves. But he didn't move. He looked at her like a beast seeing fire for the first time. Not with fear, but awe. Valeria tilted her head, lips curling slightly. Her voice, when it came, was soft, dangerous. "What do you want, wolf?" His jaw clenched. His voice was rough stone breaking through silence. "You." He moved forward, slowly, a predator, but not for the kill. His hand reached for the chains, claws curling with hesitation. Her scent wrapped around him, blood, roses, and something darker, something forbidden. "You don't know what I am," she warned. "I know what they've done to you." The chains snapped like twigs beneath his strength. Pain burst through her limbs as freedom returned like a scream. She fell, and he caught her. In his arms, she was weightless, a fallen star. Her eyes searched his face, and for the first time, her breath trembled. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. "I didn't mean to." His voice was too soft for a monster. Outside, the keep burned, but inside, in the shadows, a bond was formed, not of trust, not yet, but of something deeper. The hunted had found the hunted, and the blood moon watched, unblinking. The forest swallowed them. Ashen trees reached like dead fingers into the sky, their bark pale as bone. Fog slithered between the roots, thick and cold. Every breath in the blackwood tasted of old magic and old death. Riven moved like a shadow, barefoot and blood-stained. His chest rose with every breath, muscles twitching beneath torn flesh. He didn't bleed like other men. Pain made him stronger. Rage kept him going. But now in his arms was something that made even rage go silent. Valeria. She hadn't spoken since they left the ruins of the keep. Her head rested against his shoulder, hair like silk soaked in moonlight. She felt fragile, like glass made of snow and sorrow. Yet he could feel the power under her skin, quiet, waiting, dangerous. He hated vampires. All wolves did. But this one, she didn't smell like the others. She smelled like freedom. At the edge of a hollow, he lowered her gently onto the moss. She stirred, eyelids fluttering open. Her gaze met his, pale silver, shining even in darkness. "You carry me like a prize," she said, voice thin as wind. "You're not a prize," he replied, kneeling beside her. "You're trouble." She smiled, not with joy, with knowledge. She knew what she was, knew what he felt. You didn't have to save me. He growled softly. I didn't come to save anyone. Then why? His silence said everything. He didn't know. Something inside him had snapped when he saw her, chained, broken, yet unbowed. Something wild, something deeper than hate or instinct. The beast in him had looked into her and had seen itself. Valeria reached up, touching her wrist where the shackles had been. Red marks curled around her skin like faded tattoos. When she looked at him again, her voice held a strange softness. You're hurt. It'll heal. Mine won't. His gaze lingered on her lips, not with hunger, but with something worse. Longing. You drank nothing, he said. Would you like me to drink from you? She asked, tilting her head. A dangerous question. Her beauty wasn't human. It was ancient, carved from shadows and sorrow. Her voice could lure kings to ruin. And still, she looked at him like he was the one who might break her. No, he said, but his voice had no force. Her smile returned, faint knowing. Then you'd better hunt, or I'll hunt you. He stood, jaw tight, fists clenched. He hated the way she spoke, calm, amused, as if she already owned him. He turned into the woods, vanishing into the fog. When he returned, he carried a deer across his shoulders, silent, graceful, dead. Valeria watched as he placed the body before her. Her hands moved slowly, reverently. She leaned down, fangs slipping from her lips, delicate as daggers. Riven turned away, but he couldn't stop listening. When she fed, it wasn't savage. It was quiet, elegant, as if death was a song she knew by heart. When it was done, her eyes glowed brighter. You watched me, she said. He didn't answer. She stood now, bare feet brushing the moss, taller than before, stronger. He turned, and for a moment, they stood face to face. You should run, she whispered. I'm not safe. Neither am I, he growled. Their breath mingled in the cold. No one spoke again. They walked deeper into the forest, predator and predator, drawn by something older than law, deeper than fear. Behind them, the trees closed. The hunt had only begun. The blackwood grew darker with every step. Twisted roots clawed from the earth like broken limbs. The trees whispered in tongues lost to time. Something in the soil remembered blood, and the fog moved like it still searched for the dead. Riven walked ahead, silent and tense. Every muscle in his body burned, but he didn't slow down. His senses were sharp, wild. He could hear the crows circling above. He could smell rot beneath the moss, and behind him, he could feel her. Valeria moved like she belonged here, weightless, untouched by fear. She didn't stumble. She didn't speak. Her bare feet made no sound. Her eyes, cold and silver, never left him. It was maddening. He had fought monsters, bulled under moons that turned others mad, but nothing made his heart claw at his chest like the way she looked at him, like she was reading the pieces of him even he didn't understand. They stopped at a clearing where a black tree split open like a mouth. Riven dropped to one knee, sniffing the earth. What is it? She asked, voice soft but sharp. A scent, he growled. Old, wrong. Valeria stepped beside him. The tree's bark pulsed with something like breath. Symbols carved in dead languages lit up faintly as she approached. The forest remembers, she whispered. Even after the gods forget. Riven stood, taller than her, broader, darker. His shadow stretched across her like a cloak. You've been here before. No, she said, but the forest knows me. He studied her. She looked delicate, like snow drifting above a grave, but he had seen her drink life from a dead heart without flinching. She turned to him then, close enough for the tips of her hair to brush his chest. Her hand lifted, fingers ghosting over the scar on his collarbone. You've killed many, she said. Only those who deserved it. And me? Do I? He grabbed her wrist, not rough, but firm. His eyes locked with hers, golden fire against pale ice. If you did, he said, voice low, you'd already be dead. Her smile was slow, wicked, beautiful. Liar. His grip tightened, not to hurt her, but to stop himself. From what? He didn't know. Pulling her closer, pushing her away, something between hunger and need warred inside him. Then the wind shifted. Whispers rose around them, not from mouths. From the ground, the trees, the bones buried deep. Riven's ears twitched. Valeria stepped back. "They're watching," she said. "What are they?" "Souls," she said. "The ones this forest devoured. They remember pain." The fog thickened. The whispers grew louder. A shape moved at the edge of the clearing, tall, cloaked in rot and shadow. Raven growled, stepping in front of Valeria. "Stay behind me. I can fight," she said. "I know, but you don't have to." The creature lunged. Riven met it with claws and teeth. The fight was fast and brutal. Black blood sprayed across the roots. Bones cracked. The beast screamed. When it fell, silence returned. Riven stood panting, chest heaving, blood dripping from his claws. Valeria stepped forward and touched his arm. "You protect me," she said. "Like a mate?" He turned to her, eyes dark. "I protect what's mine." She tilted her head. "And am I yours?" He didn't answer, because deep down he knew the truth. She already was. Night pressed in, thick and endless. They had found shelter in a hollow beneath a fallen tree. Moss covered the wood like a burial shroud. The forest was quiet now, as if holding its breath. Nothing dared come near. Raven crouched by a dying fire, his body marked by blood and shadow. His golden eyes burned through the dark, watching her. Valeria sat across from him, legs folded, pale hands resting in her lap. The light from the fire kissed her skin, making her glow like frost under moonlight. She didn't need warmth. She didn't need rest. But still she sat with him, as if bound by something stronger than survival. He couldn't stop looking at her. She was too still, too perfect. The kind of beauty that didn't belong in a world full of death. She made everything around her feel unreal, even his pain. "You're staring," she said. "I know." "Why?" Raven didn't blink. "Because I don't trust you." Her lips curled, soft and cruel, then stopped looking. "Can't." Silence fell again. The fire cracked. Sparks drifted into the night like fireflies trying to escape. Valeria leaned forward just slightly. Her voice was low, meant only for him. "You hate what I am, but still, your heart beats faster when I speak." Riven said nothing. His jaw tightened. "Your body tenses when I move closer," she continued, dragging her fingers across the moss. "Your eyes follow my lips like they're a threat." "They are," he growled. She smiled. Then, without warning, she moved, slow and graceful, a serpent with wings. She crossed the space between them, inch by inch, until she was kneeling in front of him. Her hand reached out, brushing the side of his throat. Her touch was ice. Her fingers danced over his pulse. "You smell like storms," she whispered, "like blood and earth and fire." He grabbed her wrist again, harder this time, but she didn't flinch. "Careful," he said. "Why?" she asked. "Afraid I'll bite." His breath was sharp. Her face was close now. Too close. Her scent wrapped around him, roses, ash, and something older. Something that tugged at the wild thing in his chest. His grip loosened. Her wrist slipped free. "You play dangerous games," he said. "So do you," she whispered, leaning in just enough for her lips to almost touch his. "You saved me, protected me, hunted for me. Why, Riven?" He didn't answer. Because he didn't know. Not really. Because she was not just beautiful, not just deadly. She was ruin made flesh, and he wanted her anyway. Valeria moved back, as if satisfied with the silence. She sat again, her face unreadable. The fire between them hissed. Riven stood and turned away, digging his claws into the bark of a nearby tree. His thoughts were a storm. He was a beast, a killer, and she was a creature of hunger and poison. Everything about her should repulse him, but he couldn't stay away. Not now, not ever. Behind him, she spoke again, softer this time. "You're losing the fight, Wolf." He didn't turn. "What fight?" "The one you're having with yourself." Her words echoed in the dark, and Riven knew she was right. Because the more he looked at her, the more he felt it. Not fear, not hate, desire, raw and dangerous. And it would break them both. The stars had returned. They hung above the forest like pale eyes, watching without blinking. The wind had quieted. The trees no longer whispered. Even the darkness seemed to lean in, listening. Riven sat on a rock near the stream. His reflection stared back from the rippling water. Wild eyes, sharp jaw, blood on his neck that wasn't his. He felt the beast inside him pacing, restless, angry. But it wasn't the forest or the fight that made his pulse burn. It was her. Valeria stood by the water's edge, barefoot, her long hair brushing her lower back like black silk. Moonlight wrapped around her like a second skin. She didn't look at him. She didn't need to. Her presence pressed against him like a storm waiting to break. She was silent, patient, like a predator who already knew how the hunt would end. Riven couldn't take it anymore. He stood, crossing the space between them in 2 strides. "What are you doing?" he asked, voice low, rough. "Breathing," she said softly. "You don't need to breathe." Her lips curved. "No, but tonight I want to." Riven's jaw clenched. The scent of her wrapped around him again, sweet, cold, and dangerous. "Why are you here, Valeria?" he asked. "Why follow me?" She turned her face to his. Her silver eyes caught the stars, and for a moment, they looked like twin galaxies burning inside her. "I didn't follow you," she said. "You freed me. I chose to stay." His heart thudded once, deep and heavy. "Why?" "Because you're the only one," she said. "The only one who didn't look at me like a monster, or a weapon, or a thing to own." She stepped closer. The water lapped gently at their feet. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You looked at me like I was real." Riven breathed in sharply. She was too close again, and he didn't step back. "You are real," he said. "Then why do you keep pushing me away?" He didn't answer. Because he didn't know how to tell her the truth. Because if he let her in, if he gave in to the fire between them, he might lose control. He might lose everything. Valeria reached up, fingers brushing against the old scar across his chest. "What broke you?" she asked. His eyes burned. "Everything," he said. She didn't look away, didn't pity him, didn't flinch. She simply pressed her palm flat against his chest, over his heart. "Then let me break with you." His breath caught. He grabbed her wrist, firm but not rough. His thumb brushed the soft skin there, where the veins ran like rivers of shadow. "You don't know what you're asking," he said. "I do. I'm not kind. I'm not gentle. I don't know how to love like humans do." "Good," she whispered. "Because neither do I." The stars above seemed to pulse with heat. The stream glowed silver, and the space between them vanished. He didn't kiss her. Not yet. But his forehead pressed to hers, his hands gripping her waist, and her fingers curled into his back. No words. Just breath. Just heat. Just 2 broken creatures, drawn together by something older than fate. In the quiet of the forest, under stars that remembered gods and graves, the wolf and the vampire stood locked in something too deep for names. And the night held its breath. The forest turned cold again. Not the soft cold of snow or nightfall. This was the kind of cold that crept under the skin, into the bones. It smelled like iron and old ash. Even the moon looked sharper, like a blade watching from above. Riven felt it first. A tremor in the ground, a shift in the wind. They were being hunted. He stood with his back to Valeria, body tense, claws half shifted. Every instinct screamed danger, but his heart, it screamed her name. She stepped beside him, silent as a shadow. Her pale eyes searched the dark, calm, and focused. "They're coming," she said. "How many?" he asked. "Too many." He growled low. Then they made a mistake. Valeria didn't smile this time. Her fingers twitched, ready to strike. She knew what hunted them. Slavers, blood merchants, the same ones who had once chained her, drained her, sold her like a relic. Riven turned to her, eyes burning gold. "Run." "No. I'll hold them off. I'm not leaving you." His jaw clenched. He hated this. This twist in his chest whenever she defied him. This fierce pull toward her even when death stood at the edge of the trees. They came fast. Figures cloaked in bone armor and silver threads. Weapons drawn. eyes glowing like cold fire. They moved like ghosts, silent and sharp. Riven didn't wait. He met them with claws and fury. His body became a weapon, all muscle and motion. Bones cracked. Blood sprayed. He fought with the rage of a wolf who had something to lose. Behind him, Valeria moved like a wraith. Her grace was terrifying. Every step a dance, every strike a death sentence. She didn't roar. She didn't scream. She killed with silence. They fought back to back, two storms in perfect rhythm. But it wasn't enough. There were too many, too fast, too prepared. Riven took a blade to the side. He staggered, growling, but stayed standing. Valeria screamed his name, not with fear, but fury. She dropped one enemy with a strike to the throat, then another with a snap of her wrist. He fell to one knee. Blood poured from his side. Riven, she ran to him, catching his weight as he dropped. He coughed, teeth stained red. "Go," he said again. "Don't let them take you." Her hands pressed to the wound, glowing faintly with dark magic. Healing magic, not enough to save, but enough to stall death for a breath longer. "I won't lose you," she whispered. His eyes met hers, wild, broken, blazing with something deeper than pain. "Then run with me." She froze. No one had ever said that to her before. Not come with me, not follow me. Run with me. She nodded once. Then fire erupted around them. Valeria raised her arms, summoning the wall of black flame. The attackers reeled, blinded and choking. Smoke swallowed the trees. Screams rose, then silence. They ran. Through smoke, through thorns, through memories that clawed at their heels. Riven stumbled, and she caught him. He growled in frustration. She held him tighter. "Stop fighting me," she whispered. "I'm not your weakness." "No," he gasped. "You're my war." And still, he ran with her. Because in this world of chains and hunters and fire, she was the only thing that felt real. And maybe love wasn't soft. Maybe it was made of teeth and blood. But it was theirs. Dawn never touched this part of the world. Not here. Not in the ruinlands, where the sky stayed dim and the wind whispered with the voices of the long dead. Broken statues littered the ground like fallen gods. The earth itself cracked beneath their feet, bleeding mist instead of blood. Riven moved slower now. His side was wrapped in cloth torn from his cloak, soaked with blood. He never complained, never stopped. But Valeria could feel it, the weakness crawling through him like ice. She walked beside him silent, always watching, always near. He hated feeling weak, but her presence didn't shame him, not anymore. She had saved him. Again, they reached a stone altar, jagged and ancient, half swallowed by vines. Something about the place felt old, older than war, older than pain. Valeria turned to him. Her silver eyes searched his face. "We can rest here," she said. "We don't have time. You'll bleed out if we don't." Riven looked away. The truth tasted bitter. "Lie down," she ordered gently, but firm. He did. Not because he wanted to, because she asked. She knelt beside him, her fingers cool as they brushed the hair from his face. Her touch was careful, reverent, like he was something sacred. He didn't understand it. He was a beast, a killer. And yet to her, he was something more. She leaned down, her lips brushing the edge of his jaw. "Close your eyes." "Why?" "Because I need to give you my strength." He caught her wrist before she could move. "No, you're dying. Better me than you." Her voice shook for the first time. "Don't say that. It's the truth. I won't let you die, Riven." His hand tightened around hers. Even bleeding, even broken, his grip still spoke of power. "Why?" he asked, voice barely more than a breath. "I'm nothing." She leaned closer, so close their foreheads touched. "You're everything." Then slowly she bit her own wrist. Dark blood welled up, glowing faintly in the low light. She pressed it to his lips. "Drink." He turned his face away. She held it firmer. "Drink, Riven, or I'll burn this cursed world to ash just to follow you." His eyes met hers, and he drank. Her blood was fire and frost. It lit up inside him, tore through the pain like a storm. His body arched, heart slamming against his chest. The wound sealed itself. The beast inside him howled, not in rage, but in hunger. For her. Only her. When it was over, he sat up, breathing hard, skin slick with sweat. The world had sharpened, his senses pulsed, power hummed in his veins. But it wasn't just his. It was hers too. She watched him, pale and faint, like a dying star. "You gave me too much," he said. "I gave you enough. Why risk yourself?" "Because you do the same." He reached for her, pulled her into his lap, arms wrapping around her like a shield. "You're mine now," he whispered. She rested her head against his chest. "I always was." The wind rose, carrying the scent of blood and fire. But for the first time, neither of them moved. They were no longer running. They were together. And whatever storm waited beyond the ruinlands, they would face it side by side. A wolf and a vampire, bound by blood, held by something darker than love, and deeper than fate. The sky cracked open, not with thunder, with silence, the kind that presses against the ribs and drowns the breath. A silence so deep, the world itself seemed to shiver. Even the birds, the wind, the trees, all stilled. They had found them. At the edge of the forgotten lands, where stone towers lay in ruins and the soil turned to ash, the final hunt began. Riven stood on the shattered steps of an old temple, his eyes fixed on the horizon. His wounds had healed, but the hunger still burned in his blood, her gift. It gave him strength, but it also made him feel her, every flicker of pain, every shadow of fear. Behind him, Valeria stood beneath a broken arch, cloak drifting in the wind. She looked like something carved from moonlight, quiet, eternal. But inside her, a storm was rising. "They're close," she said. Riven nodded. "Good. There are too many. Not for us." She looked at him then, truly looked. Her silver eyes flicked over the lines of his jaw, the fire behind his gaze, the way the beast inside him had quieted when she touched him. "You're not the same," she said softly. "Neither are you. Do you regret it?" He turned fully now, stepped toward her. "Regret saving you?" he asked. "Regret needing you?" His hand found her waist, pulled her against him. "No," he breathed. "I regret not finding you sooner." Her lashes fluttered. "Then whatever happens next," she whispered. "We survive it," he finished. But they both knew the truth. Survival wasn't promised. A howl tore through the air. It wasn't his. The hunters had arrived. Shadow beasts, blood midges, the last slavers of the Black Order. They came like a plague, cloaked in death, eyes burning with hate. Riven pushed Valeria behind him. "Stay close," he said. "I'm not hiding." "I didn't say you were." He turned to her, handcuffing her jaw. His thumb brushed the curve of her cheek. He memorized her face in that moment, all sharp edges and aching beauty. "If we die," she said, "then we die together." The battle was fast, violent. They fought like twin flames, one dark, one wild. Riven's claws tore through armor. Valeria's shadows swallowed blades. Blood soaked the ground. Screams broke the silence that had choked the land. Riven fell once, then rose again. Valeria's magic flickered, then roared. When it ended, the world was still again. They stood in the ruins, surrounded by the bodies of those who had chased them across hell. Riven dropped to his knees. Valeria rushed to him. "Riven." "Not mine," he gasped, pointing to the blood. "Not mine." She exhaled, trembling. "We're free," she whispered. He looked up at her, chest rising with heavy breath. "Say it again." "We're free." He reached for her hand, kissed her fingers. "Then let's leave this place. Let's disappear." She nodded. But something in her eyes lingered, a question, a fear. "Will you still want me?" she asked, voice barely there. "When the war is over." He stood slowly, towering over her, hands on either side of her face. "I didn't fight for the end," he said. "I fought for you." Her lips parted. He kissed her. Slow. Deep. Not desperate. Certain. The ruins faded behind them as they walked into the mists, side by side, hearts still heavy but no longer alone. There were monsters. They were broken, but they were bound, not by chains, by choice.